program. It is exactly 9:29 a.m. And next we're going to be looking at the whole issue around global plastic waste, which is predicted to almost triple by the year 2060, with around half ending up in landfills and less than a fifth recycled, according to a new report released on Friday. Now, at the beginning of the program this morning at 8 o'clock, I mentioned this story that we're going to be doing with Faizal Essop. And the one thing I did suggest is that I'm not sure if anyone, if I'm going to be, I certainly won't be around then. But I do worry about the future of my children and my grandchildren. What sort of a world are they going to be living in? And if this issue is not addressed now, as we speak, if the political minds and the political world doesn't come together to start addressing plastic waste and the impact on the environment, not only are our children and grandchildren going to be living in a very polluted world, but I think we're going to be seeing newer and newer and newer diseases which we never imagined is going to be would ever be possible ever, and it is going to be a direct result of pollution of not only plastics but every thinkable kind. Faisal Issou from Bush Explorers, Salaam alaikum, welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Nice to have you on the show. This is very scary, is it not? Because if nothing is done here and now, we're in for doom and gloom by the year 2060 and onwards.
Yes, because plastic pollution is a major problem that we're facing currently. The globe, all around the globe, it actually almost increased in the last few decades. They said in 1970 it doubled, 2000 the level started to increase, and I see it increasing quite phenomenally. What's actually interesting is a lot of companies like Woolworths and that are trying to move away from plastic and to move towards like paper straws. You find a lot of people moving around plastic paper material bags, which are alternative solutions, but they're not being done on a large scale basis. It's unbelievably shocking the impact of plastic it's having on the marine life and on the environment. I know some of things like plastic water bottles, straws, plastic bags, even old tires. These things don't decay and rot. Cigarette butts, for example, and they have a very negative and immense impact on human life, animal life all around the globe. As you mentioned, you said global plastic is estimated to triple by 2060, and they say less than one fourth only gets recycled. It's only less than one fourth is getting recycled. So, alhamdulillah, there's a lot of potential for it. We always talk of these three R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Not enough is being done in our communities around the globe to enforce that concept. They say there's 460 million tons of consumption. I repeat, 460 million tons of consumption in 2019. I mean, sorry, they say it's about 1,200 tons in 2019. So it's basically going to increase to 460 million tons. So one ton is 1,000 kilograms of waste. So you can imagine the impact that it's having. Another cause is these polystyrene containers. That's one
Mm.
of the biggest causes.
Okay, so Faisal, you with Bush Explorers, so I'm thinking you're very in touch with nature and you spend a lot of time in nature. How does this, we're talking, as I speak with you, I'm thinking urban areas, but it has a very direct impact on rural areas as well. And those areas are also being polluted, and undoubtedly wildlife and animal life is suffering in the process. Possibly we'll see extinction of certain types of animals going forward as well, due to
Yes,
pollution, due to them dying from eating of plastic and polluted waste.
Definitely, when we hiking on a river, just to give you a very practical example, you see a lot of this waste litter that's been flown down from you have communities on the upper side of the river, and you get these rivers flowing through the national park we hike on, and you see a tremendous amount of litter that's there. And as you say, a lot of these animals sometimes feed on it. You see pictures of ducks feeding on plastic. You'll see a lion feeding on a plastic water bottle. It's going to have an impact on them going forward. And yes, it is a reason for it's one of the reasons that these animals will be possibly going extinct. I was giving an example of a microplastic. If you order something from a takeaway, the polystyrene
Mm,
containers. Now, these polystyrene containers break up into millions of particles. It's called microplastics. And
mm.
when they float into the ocean, fish think that they are food. So they feed on it. It actually affects their nutrition and their feeding system. And eventually causes them to die. This is from one container. It breaks up into a million different microplastic particles. And you can imagine how many containers, like this part is just a simple container, but look at the effect it has on the environment from one container. So you can imagine all the litter and the pollution all around the globe, the different impacts. It's definitely going to have a extremely negative impact on the animal population and even on humans as well, because they say if you had to, there was a study done the other day on human beings. They said in every human being, they found microplastic in their system. Now nobody's going to
Mm.
go with purposely eat tires or plastic, but it's become part of our nature. It's become part of our system, microplastics. It also can be a reason, will be a reason for us becoming sick. That's how, that's the effect it actually has on us as humans.
Yes, and I did indicate in my introduction that if nothing is done about it now, we are going to be seeing new and newer diseases manifesting from these landfills and the fact that animals are ingesting the plastic, like you indicated, polystyrene being ingested by fish. And if that fish doesn't die from that polystyrene and we then bring it to our tables and eat that fish, we actually ingesting all of that. The plastics is the one issue. The other issue is the medical industrial waste. Some of it leaching into the grounds and getting into our water systems. So we really exposing ourselves big time. If government and NGOs and green, the Greenpeace, etc., if they don't make bigger noises around this issue, we are going to be seeing diseases that we've never ever heard of. That being said, Faisal, when we look at these plastics and we look at polystyrene, is there no ways that it could be repurposed in some way or the other so that it doesn't land up in our water systems and in landfills?
Yeah, there's plenty of solutions. Many of our organizations you've referred to, institutions have suggested and recommended. Example, there is recycling bins in your houses. We need to take initiative in our houses and purchase these bins. You see a lot of people coming to our bins in the morning. They're collecting these bottles, these aluminium containers because they are recyclable, but it's not being done on a large scale. We should be doing it as a community. So there's definitely a solution. A simple solution is by your drain, put a netting. So what happens when the rainwater flows, the water flows in, but it catches all those cans and plastics and all that. Even in the river system, there was a picture the other day. I saw these pipes that are going into the river. You put a real netting there, it catches all those water bottles and plastics, small things like that. If
Mm,
everybody like that
mm.
just take initiative for their house, I promise you it's going to make a huge difference. But it stems from a lack of education, and at times it stems from a lack of will to do it. I think we've got the resources to actually do it, but if each house can take that initiative, just with recycling bins, for example, and try to stop littering as an individual, it'll make a huge difference. The impact will be mega.
Yeah, I think we need to start, hooking up with these organizations and start awareness programs in schools. And even if it means going from door to door in the different areas that we live in, if we can start small, I think eventually it will snowball into huge positive impacts. Your words of advice to people in and around our communities, what ought they be doing? I like the idea about the netting in your stormwater drains and even your drainage system in your own house. You can get rid of so much of muck and hopefully it doesn't end up in the water systems. So you can put netting around your drains outside of the house as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's one of the smallest things we can do. And I like what you're speaking of, programs, initiatives in the schools, in our universities. But it starts off with our homes. It starts off with that small little thing that you can do at home. Each home can do it. These campaigns need to be kicked off. And yeah, we have done one or two at our schools, but it has to be done on a large scale basis. It has to be given priority, as it should be. But I think it's a drive that we can commence, perhaps, looking at it. The challenge is obviously resources with anything. Everybody's
True.
so preoccupied in their lives at the moment. But inshallah, we make that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where there's a will, there's a way. And with the correct intention, Allah does accept and open up for us.
Inshallah. Faisal, thank you indeed for being with us on the show. Faisal Essop from Bush Explorers, talking about this very worrying report that is suggesting by the year 2060, our plastic waste will be tripled by then. And I kind of wonder about the generations in that time. How are they going to cope? What is their world going to look like? And what sort of newer diseases are we going to be contending with at that point in time? And will there be sufficient resources to go around? And the resources I'm referring to here is water and food. Let's start thinking collectively and let's start making a difference, not wait for 5, 10, 15 years or 5 weeks or 5 months. Let's start now. Collectively, we can and will make a huge difference. 9:40 news and views right here on Salam Media. In a short while, we will be talking to Tileni Mongudi. He's an investigative journalist, and we're going to be looking into the issue of the Ramaphosa billions. So do stay with us.